What's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and today we're going to be checking out the top 10 most action-packed MMO. And these are truly MMO. They've got open worlds, and they really have that action just perforated through the whole massively multiplayer online component. I know you guys are looking for some boom, pow, ka-chow. I know you want those big explosions, the magical giant swords sweeping through 3 different people at the same time. I know you want the pew-pew all over the places. And guys, I know sometimes you just want to have childish, stupid fun with a bunch of explosions in your eyeballs. Here we go, guys. These are those games. If you want action-based combat inside an MMO, which is super hard to do, well, these are the ones that have the best attempt. They did a good old college try. Actually, most of them fully succeed. Well, we're gonna rank them. We're gonna rank them based on their action, epicosity. And if you're fine with that, let's get into it. Top 10 action MMO. Let's start out the shootout proper with Wildstar. Now, I'm putting Wildstar here at number 10 because it's based off of World of Warcraft. And World of Warcraft is sort of the base level of any MMO. It's actually truly one of the more action-packed MMOs, but I feel like Wildstar does it better. I think Wildstar is really WoW 2.0, at least in terms of the raw combat mechanics. It's a lot of fun. It's very clear and concise where, abilities are being fired off and, where to dodge, jump out of the red circles, jump into the green circles, and all that good stuff. And that's every single class. Every single class has this sort of like weightiness to it and visceralness to it, and it's fun, but still at the same time, it is still kind of based on the floaty sort of concepts that World of Warcraft first inspired. Definitely a lot more action-packed than standstill games, but I think from here on, we're only gonna get a lot more ridiculous. And from one comic game to another, we got DC Universe Online, absolutely cartoon. You're gonna have that comic violence, that comic adventure, and that comic explosivity. And what's really fantastic about this game is even if you play on PS4, and for its age, right? It really doesn't kind of show its age. It's incredibly mobile and it's incredibly action-packed. And at first, I was expecting one type of game. I jumped into this and I was blown away. So don't think it's just for kids. This is entirely an action-based game. You are gonna be either flying or jumping, like leaping buildings, and like blinking all over the place, and freaking lasers, and even just punching. Even if you're just meleeing, it still feels really good and momentum based, and it's a lot of fun. Now, I think this is a great game for kids and adults alike, so don't worry about it just being for the little tykes, man. This is a cool game for the family, absolutely. Even if it does have that comic violence, it's that violence adds the action awesomeness, man. Coming up next, we got a wuxia game, and it's pretty much the wuxia game, and it's going to be Blade and Soul. If you want crazy kung fu fighting, and I mean 3D kung fu fighting, people jumping all over the place, freaking flying and air stepping, and I don't know, looks like they're walking on clouds and sky dancing and bullshit. It's crazy, man. Blade and Soul is going to be that game, and what I want to say is that it's more paced than DC Universe Online or Wildstar, definitely. So overall, maybe, the action isn't so in your face constantly non-stop, but it's still, what it is paced action, and it is impactful action, and that means that every single combo that you do, even though you're not technically shooting fucking laser balls out of your eyeballs, you are still committing to some amazing action, some amazing animations, and you're gonna see just some really crazy things that you just haven't seen over here in the West very often. Blade and Soul, whenever you're in a one-on-one fight, I have to say it's probably the best in any game, in terms of just jumping all over the place, in terms of actually committing these action. It feels like a real fighting game, and it feels extremely impactful, and it really gets you in the gut, and I really appreciate that about Blade and Soul, which overall is artistically very fantastic and elegant, but that combat, dude, that combat is weighty. That combat is action-packed. Coming in at number 7, we have Revelation Online, which is one of those games that is directly emulating Blade and Soul, and for every way possible, it normally would be considered lesser as well, because it kind of is a hybrid between Blade and Soul combat and then something maybe like World of Warcraft. However, where Revelation Online gets it real good is going to be its monster aggression. It's monsters, it's big-ass monsters. Dude, they're fast as shit too, man. They are crazy. They are hyperactive. And also your character. Yeah, Blade and Soul definitely is more paced and weighty, but Revelation Online kind of trumps that with just having more abilities, just spamming all over the place. Lots of more skill shots, lots more shots, if that makes even sense. And you still have sort of that wuxia, and you also have a blending of Western MMORPG design. And then also when you consider that this game is going to be based on like big PvP, dude. Big PvP that's also like fighting and contesting over giant monsters. And then if you go into the dungeons, you have giant monsters that are fast as shit, dude. It's like freaking Dragon Ball Z up in here. It's pretty ridiculous. It really kind of reminds me of something like Dark Souls on crack, and yet it's still kind of in an MMO. So yeah, the game overall is kind of cheesy. It obviously emulates from a lot of different games, but I think their elements together makes for, well, an action-packed MMO. Coming in at number 6, we have The Elder Scrolls Online. Now, this game can be played in first person or in third person, and I have to say, in first person, it seems way more action-packed But Elder Scrolls Online is a game that is actually kind of built on a similar premise to its, the main series counterparts, which in those games, they've definitely been criticized for a little bit of, a lack of action compared to some other proper action RPGs. But still, it's more of an immersive game. So because if you are actually truly immersed in the game, which is pretty much what everything that it's trying to do, then things are going to feel a little bit more explosive. Yeah, you're not probably going to be summoning giant meteors from the sky yourself, but when you shoot a fireball, it's going to feel a little bit more impactful than if it was in any other game. So I have to say that. Otherwise, Elder Scrolls Online actually has a whole lot of customization with its classes, with its characters, and it can feel really good whenever you're training these combos that you kind of create yourself. Now, the dungeons and everything, and just overall as a whole, whenever you're partying up or doing PvP, it can feel a little bit more tame, but because it is in the, the immersion factor, yeah, that's where the game gets knocked up on the list. Coming in halfway on the list, I'm gonna put Terra. Now, Terra has always tried to be the poster boy for true action combat inside of MMORPG, and this was really the first true attempt to do something actually, on an epic and massive scale like this, and then also intricately added in these mechanics. Everything is pretty much aimed, everything feels incredibly weighty, timed, and I could say, playing with as a max level Lancer and also the Ninja classes, the Lancer feels extremely Dark Soulsian, while the Ninja class feels like basically like Devil May Cry or something like that. So all these different classes with their intricacies actually, game feel-wise are unique. And now I know Terra has kind of a very boring leveling, but it's really all about that end game. When you start fighting these big-ass monsters, when you get into these dungeons where they have these giant AoE wipes and all these crazy, cones of fire that you have to evade or block through, things get really complicated and really fun when it comes into the team compositions. I really don't know any other games that really kind of beat Terra when it comes to that. Of course, it's emulating a lot of older MMOs such as World of Warcraft, but with those intricate mechanics tied in, the overall actual physical feeling of the game is unique. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Guild Wars 2, and my contention for why it's on this list is because other games do kind of specific things specifically good. That makes sense. There's different kinds of action combat, and especially there's different kind of control schemes, and etc., etc. They all have different feelings, but in Guild Wars 2, I feel like it just encompasses everything all at once. If you want to be a hyperactive melee ninja assassin kind of, yeah, you absolutely can do that, but at the same time, in the same class, you can kind of change it up, and you could be a little bit more supportive, you could be a little bit less action-based even if you want to, you can switch it to be a little bit more tactical and strategical, and that will actually enhance the action of everybody else around you if you're in a group playing co-op and doing the raids, or if you're actually doing the PvP. So the enhancement of everybody playing very differently is what makes MMOs very fun. Not everybody is kind of playing the same way, like such as Blade and Soul. Everybody's gonna be kung fu fighting, but in Guild Wars 2, everybody can play differently, and because of that, the action is a little bit more diverse. Also, this game is actually incredibly aim-based. Despite it being built on a tab targeting system, I think it does the tab targeting system and the aim-based and the skill factor added into the tab targeting system better than any other tab target game. Though I will say, as an aside, they did implement an action targeting system as well. Coming in at number 3, we've got Trove. Trove is not just for kids. I know it looks cute and cubey and colorful, but dude, Trove is insane. You have droves of enemies that come and swarm you. You have like freaking giant knights that fall from the sky that try to cleave you in half, and the game actually can get some difficulty later on. I mean, if you really push yourself, but at the same time, it is a casual game. You can kind of go at your own pace, and a lot of the game is kind of about, creating and customizing, your own little islands and things, and it's cute and fun, but seriously, dude, this PvP can get insane. The PvE, if you actually go into the shadow arenas, can also get pretty ridiculous. Now, this is probably as pure action as like a melee game can get, but it's also like some classes really feel more like shooters, pew pew. Now, you don't have that many abilities, and overall, the different classes, they're cute and fun and silly aesthetics, absolutely, but yeah, still, very limited ability sets, but the overall just a visceral feeling of the game initially is incredibly different from any other game. Well, it maybe lacks a little bit of depth on the end there, just for a casual game jumping in. I don't think you're really going to get more boom pow as instantaneously. Coming in at number 2, we have Black Desert Online. Now, Black Desert Online is an incredibly intricate game with its combos, with all of its abilities. It's really ridiculous. The game kind of blew my mind. Now, I did a full review on the game, and I said that the combat is a little bit messy. That's just because of how action-packed it is. That is because of how intricate and how insanely complicated it can be. So this isn't going to be for everybody, and actually getting to the point where you have all those abilities is going to take a little bit of time, and just, actually mastering those abilities, unfathomable. They're just such a high skill ceiling, absolutely, and maybe even a skill skill floor. But whenever you're fighting these monsters, dude, they are so big and the graphics are so awesome. Like, dude, the graphics. Some people say graphics don't matter, but dude, the graphics of Black Desert, the animation qualities. Yeah, while whenever in PvP, it can get kind of a little bit much and maybe even a lot of the time in PvE. Still, it is incredibly high quality. It is so good. So Black Desert Online, when you're just, you know, killing just tons of hordes of enemies like it's a freaking Musou game, or if you are jumping into this PvP, I seriously do not think that there is another MMORPG that is as fast-paced as this, not even by a long shot. In terms of speed, explosivity, Black Desert Online wins flat, hands down. And now my number one action MMO is going to be Planetside 2. Planetside 2 is an MMO FPS. It is only action. There is no story, there's no questing, there's just you and every other person just trying to kill each other. It's hundreds of people versus hundreds of people versus hundreds of people pretty much any time of day. Yeah, just a whole bunch of bullets and laser beams, you know, sniper shots, you know, tank cannons, you know, freaking Gatling guns on some of these airships, dropping down, paratroopers jumping down, Goomba stomping bitches. It's crazy, dude. It really, Planetside 2 is just action. That's the point of it. It is supposed to be just a realm versus realm versus realm PvP with guns, and because of the range, because of the speed of the game, you can just jump in and instantaneously blow someone's head off or get your own blown off, and it is just incredible. It's incredibly sci-fi. You might need a stronger machine to really appreciate the game, but overall I think there is a lot to appreciate. Though, as an aside, you probably will get the most out of the game if you join as a group or, you know, a guild or something, so you can surgically go in and perform some actions. Then you're gonna see the true action, you know, the true face of Planetside 2. And that's it. That's the list, guys. That's all I've got for you. These, I think, are the most action-packed MMO. But if there's some that you think I missed, if there's one that you really want to give a shout-out to, absolutely. No contest, man. Leave it in the comments below. I would love it. I'm just here to show a direction. I'm just here to kind of guide the way. And if you want cool, awesome explosions and magical effects and things and stuffs, yeah, no, these games are good for it. Yeah, I know they all have different aesthetics. They all appeal to different niches. But sure enough, the thing that ties them all together is they got some good action, right? Can we all agree on that? Either way, if you play any of these games or not, I'm just trying to help, and hopefully in the end you had fun with the video. I hope with these games you have fun. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you in the next one.